No Ryan this time, eh?
No, he's dead.
He's not dead.
He's not dead.
No.
Actually, none of us can officially confirm that
I can
moment to
confirm that
moment.
he's not dead, yeah.
Though you can't confirm any of us. You
I
could
can
say, "Oh,
confirm
Matt's
you,
not dead," but I could have died right as you said it.
but you're not dead.
Not currently.
See? I was right. I confirmed it in that moment.
No, because in that moment, I could have died.
No.
When one of us actually dies and it's comes to be known after the fact, that episode will be like the preamble to the investigative crime podcast.
That's why I keep saying we need to stop with that joke, because eventually one of us is going to die, and then it's going to be like, wait, he just admitted guilt that he cut him up into pieces, put him in the trunk of his car, and drove it off a cliff.
And then,
I don't
and
know.
then,
I don't know if that example that you just said has ever been used.
and then it'll be followed by,
Probably has.
"This is Sarah Koenig, and this is Serial."
Oh,
With a-
what?
With a piano intro theme.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dale and Patch podcast. I'm your temporary host, Matt Lawrence, filling in for Ryan due to his recent death, unfortunate death, really.
Every time.
God
right
damn
after
it.
we just talked about
it.
this. Adriano this time
Hi.
beat Ryan up, and he died from his injuries. It was horrible death. And Adriano was here before the authorities come and pick him up. But anyway,
I need to make sure I have an alibi now. So,
I'm here with Adriano Petty
hi.
and Tim Spence.
Yeah, we'll see for how long. I don't want to be incriminated.
An accomplice.
Yeah.
We just gotta wait for one other person to be missing and or dead from one of the episodes, and then just blame it on Tim. And that's it. But anyway, we have a packed episode for you today. The headliner article that I think is the biggest story of the week is probably the PlayStation VR2 or PSVR2. We now have a release date for that and a price as well. So we'll talk about that. We also got some information about the PlayStation subscriber count, specifically the PlayStation Plus subscriber count since their service revamp. So PlayStation Plus, if you will, some stuff has happened there. Also got some Modern Warfare 2 news, but it's a bit of a PC gaming news thing because players are being seemingly banned for using RGB software. And Microsoft, as we all know, consoles lose money, but Microsoft apparently is losing between $100 and $200 on every single Xbox it sells, according to Phil Spencer. And finally, this is not a gaming article, but an article that I'm going to use as a bit of a jump off point to a sort of query corner question, or just a sort of a question to ask. But it's Netflix with ads launches today. Here's everything you need to know. Now, not today. It's the as of writing that article that we're referring to. And the question that I'm using it to jump off into is would you ever use an ad supported subscription game service? So let's kick it off right away with the headlining article here. PlayStation VR2 release date and price revealed. This comes to us from IGN. PlayStation VR2 will be officially released on February 22nd, 2023 for $549.99 US. Pre-orders will begin on November 15th. As revealed by the PlayStation blog, PlayStation VR2 will include the PSVR2 headset, PSVR2 Sense controllers, as well as stereo headphones. There will also be a PSVR Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle that will retail for $599.99 and will include everything from the standard edition plus a PlayStation Store voucher code for Horizon Call of the Mountain. Also launching on February 22nd will be the PSVR 2 Sense controller charging station, which will allow players to charge their controllers through a simple click-in design without having to connect to a PS5 console, which is free, which will then, of course, free up the console's USB ports. What do you guys think of the, probably more so the price, but the price and release date of the PSVR 2?
It seems cheaper than I was expecting, because it seems like most VR headsets that you look at now are in the like $700 range.
What is it? What is it Canadian? 700 and something.
I actually don't know, but
I mean,
it would be a similar conversion, yeah. Is it 749 USD
549
or 549 rather?
Yeah.
So maybe 700. Be close, yeah.
So my thought about this, and I actually mentioned this because I think somebody shared it in a group chat on WhatsApp, and I said that I think this thing's dead on arrival. And the reason why I say that, not to be immediately dismissive of it, but it's $549, and this is compared to, and this is the Canadian pricing, a Meta Quest 2. Now, Meta Quest 2 is much less powerful, that's to be sure, but a Meta Quest 2 128 gig version, which in this case, I'm looking at a bundle that comes with a game and it also comes with the touch controllers, is $529.99 Canadian dollars. So we're looking at, if you're trying to get into VR for the first time, we're talking $530 Canadian approximately for a Meta Quest 2, and you can kind of go up the headsets from there. I think there's a Meta Quest Pro or something like that. This is $549.99 plus a console, which in Canadian dollars is a little over $700 after tax. So we're looking at, let's just ballpark it, and let's say $1,500, $1,400 Canadian for this all-in-one thing, or for this, not even an all-in-one thing. It relies on the console, which is, to me, why it's going to struggle. Because unless something has changed, existing VR games, I'm pretty sure, do not run on this thing. Existing VR places like PSVR1 games do not run on the PSVR2. So not only are you losing a library, if that still holds true, but now you have to have a console that's difficult to find, is expensive, and then you're paying a premium price for a non-standalone piece of hardware. Now, once again, the Meta Quest 2 is a totally different fidelity level. It's an Android device, and it's all in one. So, and you can connect it to the computer if you want higher fidelity, or if you want to play Steam games or whatever, if you want to extend its capabilities. But it's fully capable of playing games and other experiences, VR experiences, just right on the headset with nothing else. Rechargeable battery built in, slap on the headset, and that's it. And it has hand tracking as well, which last I checked was in the beta section of the App Store. So you didn't even need to really have to use the controllers.
Jeez.
So this is I don't know about this. This seems a little expensive.
This is the PSVR that will only work with PS5, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
But PSVR games and won't work on this.
As that, we reported on that a while ago. I don't know if someone could check that for me to make sure that hasn't changed since. But like, for example, one of the best and one of the biggest, in my opinion anyway, VR games is actually The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. It's really, really good. And that game exists, and I think was given to us via PlayStation Plus at some point, or some sort of free offering, but that you can't play that. Unless there's some sort of patch for it, or whether, whatever. And that goes for the other collection of, PSVR games that are out there right now.
If that's the case, that's you're already taking a niche product and you're shooting yourself in the foot even more. I don't know if it's just the fact that those games literally would not be compatible with better hardware, which seems strange. But again, I can't imagine the VR sales are so good that they can justify limiting their library like that right off the bat.
Right. Well, especially because, okay, so I just Googled it, and according to Game Rant and according to Forbes, and I'm going to read the Game Rant quote. It literally says Sony has recently revealed that the PSVR2 will not be backwards compatible with any of the PSVR titles. And I 100% agree with you, Tim. It's too niche of a product to just leave it. Because if you even look at the PS5 is not a niche console, but PS5 games are kind of still niche. They're games that are just for the PS5 are pretty few and far between. We're still sort of respecting and releasing on the PS4, whether that's due to the availability of the PS5 or whatever. It's happening. So one of the big things that people are playing on their PS5s are PS4 games. Effectively, this is like a VR PS5, if we can think about it this way. It's a VR PS5 that can't go back. So you're going to have to wait for all new games.
Well, yeah, it's the thing. It's like they're really just encouraging you to not pick it up right away and to just wait for not only more like titles to come out, but also like if you don't have a PS5 yet, they're not, I mean, they're easier to come by, but they're not the easiest thing still. So like it just pays to wait.
Yeah.
And like how long can they wait? You know, how long can they commit to just these putting these products out and then waiting for people to actually buy them? Like it seems like such a weird idea.
And like maybe the idea is so I'm new to VR as of last year, like less than a year. I've had a Quest 2. And so I've dabbled with it here and there, more or less just for fun to mess around with it. I'm not like a serious gamer on it or anything. And
No, video games are never for fun.
well, but like, I mean, like I haven't been like, oh, I need to beat this or like trying to get the check mark or anything. I've just been like sort of dabbling, like, oh, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try this on there. And when I was doing that, I was watching a lot of YouTube on VR just to sort of learn about it because I'd never tried it before, not at length anyway. And the PSVR, so the first one, was kind of like always described as sort of last gen at that point, where it was sort of like the Quest 2 was the beginning of like, the then current gen VR experience. Whereas the PSVR was kind of, a little bit lacking, a little bit older, whatever, but it was literally a little bit older in that. So it's a kind of a product of its time. It's sort of say Gen 1 or close to Gen 1 VR. So maybe there's a hardware problem in trying to get it to work here. But I would argue that chances are, I don't know if like they're being blocked or how this would even work, but the PSVR 2, because it's so niche, you could find the developers that make the games and you could just send them dev kits and have them patch their previous games. As far as I understand it, that can't happen. So if Walking Dead Saints and Sinners wants to be on PSVR 2, it sounds like, and I could be wrong, it sounds like they have to release the game again. So then they would have to charge for it. And so you're buying your back catalog. Like this seems really kind of ass backwards, especially when at the beginning of the PS5, they were giving away VR games. They were giving away a VR game a month for a few months there at least.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, here, like everybody, like we're giving you these niche pieces of software. Go buy our niche piece of hardware. By the way, our next generation won't work with this. Like, it just seems so, I don't know, tone deaf or something.
Yeah, they're not. It almost seems like they're not thinking about it from the consumer perspective at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which you would think would be the priority selling any product is this something people need? Are they going to buy it? How much are they willing to pay for it? And, like going from there. But why is it that this is even happening? Is, I guess, the question that comes to my mind. Like, I mean, and I've talked about it on the podcast before. I really want to get into VR, but as it stands, for the most part, most of the VR that I've ever played, I don't know whether it's like a latency issue or it's just some sort of like disconnect between my brain and like what my eyes are seeing, is I get really motion sick from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had for a period of time the PSVR, like the first one for the PS4, and it was brutal. Like I couldn't play any of the games that I had for usually 15 or 20 minutes. It was just so bad. It made me sick. So I was thinking, this is really sick, but I got to wait like probably another couple of years, 4 or 5 years maybe, before I'll actually be able to play VR and enjoy it.
Right.
And so like it's particularly funny for me because like I want to get into VR, but it almost feels like nobody's really willing to invest enough into it to make the mistakes basically at the beginning of a new product, so that everyone else can see those mistakes and build off of them, et cetera, et cetera. And so we can basically, skip the bad part and get to the good part where I can actually use it.
Yeah. I would say the closest you're going to get to that sort of like getting through that Gen 1 hump is Meta / Facebook. Because the Oculus / the Meta Quest 2 is really, I think it's really polished. I was really impressed by it. Even the frame rate and stuff's pretty good. I always have a problem with it and whether this is a hardware thing or whether I'm not wearing it right, but I always have a problem where I can't get the whole frame to be in focus. And I don't know whether that's intentional to like make it so that my brain doesn't freak out and it's giving me like the peripheral vision blur, or whether I'm not using it. But I've like messed with the settings of all the VR headsets I've ever tried. And for the most part, like every single setting I've tried on the MetaQuest 2, obviously I'll get better focus or less focus as I go through the options, but I can never get it to be just perfect. And I'm just wondering whether I'm not doing it right. But it's kind of the same thing, like we were saying, Tim, where it's like, you can't really use it because of the motion sickness. And like, I can use it, but I'm still it's very noticeable that I can't get the focus quite right. So it's still sort of, I would say in like a Gen 2, and maybe the PSVR is ushering in like the Gen 3 of it. So like, VR is getting better, but to your point though, if you ever want to see a lot of software, I suppose, on there, getting something that works with the PC is a good idea. Because if you go on like Steam, it'll just tell you like, this works with Windows Mixed Reality, this works with Rift, this works with Quest 2. It just tells you what the various pieces of software it like works with. And with the Quest 2, you can connect wirelessly, which was in beta, or wired to a PC and use it like a Rift.
Jeez.
Or you can just not do that and use the onboard experience. So it's the closest, like it's getting there. Certainly isn't a Gen 1, but it is still like,
It's still rough around the edges.
Yes, there's still a setup. Like I'm still like setting myself up and like majiggering with my headset over and over again. Like,
well, like, that's fine too. And again, it's like, it might be one of those things that might just be an issue for you specifically. Like maybe just the way that like the lenses on your eyes are curving and like in combination with the physical lenses in the headset that's causing that sort of disconnect. And it's possible, but it's funny at the same time, like you mentioned that we were talking about VR stuff on stream today, and we were talking about how you can actually get, like, there are specialty third-party companies that make prescription lenses. So like if you wear glasses and you can't wear your glasses with a VR headset, you can buy these like third-party lenses to put in your headset. If your glasses don't fit inside, like if you got a particular like strong prescription or you have a special kind of, glasses frame kind of thing, then you can get these specifically for your VR headset, which is nuts. And I don't know if that's for like every kind of VR headset that's out there, but I'm sure it's for, the major ones, which is super cool. And it's something I hadn't even ever like thought of, because I thought for sure that like headsets these days were specially designed for use by people who have glasses. Like it's a major consideration in the design portion of it. But I guess they're really only designed for like the most common shapes of glasses and not necessarily all glasses.
Yeah, there is a spacer that comes with the Quest 2, but it's just one spacer. It's not like here's 3 different sizes of spacer or what have you.
Right.
So yeah, I guess that type of stuff too could potentially even like eventually change the design of things. Like obviously this company's doing the lenses, maybe future Quest whatever devices or any other VR device will have it so that like the lenses are just like magneted in, and so you can literally just replace them in like a second with third-party lenses and stuff like that. Like all that type of stuff will probably come in like Gen 4 and 5 of this type of stuff, I would imagine. But like we're getting there, but it's a clunky road. It is the cutting edge, I suppose, because there are people, like if you watch TikTok on any gaming videos or anything, there are people that are completely comfortable in VR and they're doing things that like they're just swinging around like Spider-Man or swinging swords around or whatever, and they're just like super graceful in VR, and it's just like Jesus, like this guy's been in VR for a while.
Yeah, like you see all these people that are in like VR chat. Which is like probably the longest lasting that is still really successful and popular VR game, I would think. That thing's been a while around for like as long as almost all like PC VR sets I've ever seen. But like, yeah, with some of the stuff that's out there right now, like it really makes me want to get a VR set of some kind, whether it's a headset or like a full, like, at some point even hopefully investing in like a significant rig, because there are some games that I've seen specifically on TikTok that are like nuts, like the Blade and Sorcery game. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but that's the
Yep.
one where it's like fully, it's like magic and swords, and you're like it's like a big arena fighter game. And there's another one called Rumble, that is basically like in VR, but like a competitive earthbending game, like the earthbending from Avatar.
Oh wow.
It's like super cool, and you actually like properly have to do the proper forms and like, like punches and stuff to make different moves happen. And it's still like fairly early in development, but like it's super polished and it's really, really cool. And I see stuff like that and I'm like, this is nuts. Like I really, really wish I could just jump on and play this right now. That would be sick. But
it is a little unfortunate.
Really isn't matter.
Sorry,
yeah, it really is a matter. It really is a matter for me of like if I would be able to like not puke while doing it,
Jesus.
The Canadian price for PSVR2 is $750 for the base and $820 for the Horizon bundle.
$820 for the bundle.
But even getting that out of the way, it's $750 for the base.
Yeah, that's so much more. That's honestly more than I was expecting. I was hoping it would be less than 700. That's sad.
In my circle of people around me, there are people who were interested in it, but then saw that price. They're like, no, not happening. So,
well, especially with the console, like that's I think its biggest problem is, to me, this thing should be running its own thing on board. Now, I 100% agree that it should not be at the fidelity of the PS5. Fully understand that. Absolutely. This thing should be at like Oculus, like MetaQuest 2 quality, 720p, whatever it is. However they got the performance out of that thing, this thing should be like a better MetaQuest 2 just because of the MetaQuest 2's age. And that's it. It should be on board. And then with an optional thing where if you plug it into a PS5, it becomes much more powerful, better fidelity. The PS5 helps run it. That would be cool. That would make a lot of sense. Just like, again, like I know it sounds like a broken record, but just like the Quest 2, that would make way more sense than dumping all this money and then also having this console, which is all like copiously expensive, and then having to buy all your games again. Too much for me. So I don't know how this thing's going to do. I think it's DOA, which is unfortunate, but time will tell.
I guess we'll just have to see. Like, it depends when they release it too, right? Like, if they release it, do we have a release date on it?
Yeah, February 22nd next year, 2023.
Yeah, so that's like, I don't know, man. Like, it seems like the kind of thing where you'd want to wait for the first big sale.
Yeah,
but then at that point, is it like, are you even gonna be able to find one? Like, because is stock going to be low because there's so little demand for it? It seems too expensive for what it is. And I would say, like, if they release it in like, the beginning of the fall, and then you can wait for like a Black Friday deal, then like maybe that would be the time to do it. But now is like February it's a weird time of the year to release a niche product like that, I feel.
Well, one other thing too is we're like with the PlayStation, let's say you're getting your PlayStation games, like your console games, you have your VR games. I almost think this is like a match made in heaven where they should really have some sort of tier of PlayStation Plus or some sort of whatever, where you get just a big old bundle where you get the PlayStation 5 console and the VR headset. You can sell that in stores, whatever. But the Xbox right now, they do not have a VR headset, but the Xbox has some sort of thing. I think it's called Xbox All Access, where you pay a subscription fee or financing fee, whatever they call it. And they give you the console itself, and then they give you a bunch of other stuff. I think it's like Game Pass Ultimate and whatever.
At no percentage financing. Like it's the exact same cost in the end.
Yeah, so it's like
there's no downside to doing it if you need to split up your payments. It's really a fantastic deal for people who can't buy it outright.
And this is a way for PlayStation to come. Like I don't know how popular All Access is, but this is a way for PlayStation to come out swinging and being like, hey, we also offer 0% financing. here's like PlayStation Plus at whatever tier. Here's the PlayStation 5 console. Here's the PSVR 2. Here's everything. And then if maybe there's a tier of PlayStation Plus, this is all speculation, but they're theoretical, I suppose. But it's like if there was a tier of PlayStation Plus which gave you PSVR 2 games, it's like, hey, look, you now no longer need a VR headset on the PC, for high fidelity games. One low monthly fee gets you your console games, your headset, your controller, like your motion controllers, and your PSVR games. Like that would be a huge push. But this price, all this stuff individually, way too expensive. I can't even imagine how much these games are going to be. I'm sure there's maybe pricing out there somewhere, but even at $40, it's like I've just paid $540 for a freaking console. That's it.
I don't think them doing a tiered system for based on our next story. I don't think them doing like a tier system for the PSVR is probably the best course of action.
Ooh, that's foreboding.
That's a good call. Yeah, and a good transition to our next story. This one comes to us from IGN. Sony loses nearly 2 million PlayStation Plus subscribers since the service revamp. The number of PlayStation Plus subscribers has fallen by almost 2 million since Sony launched its revamped subscription service in June. According to the company's latest financial report, Sony's multi-tiered PlayStation Plus subscription service has dropped from 47.3 million at the end of June to 45.4 million in the 3 months leading up to September 30th, which is a decrease of 4%. Sony highlighted that the ratio of gamers subscribed to the service is significantly higher on the PS5 than for the previous generation of console, which was the PS4. In response, Sony leadership plans to accelerate the adoption of PS5 hardware to recover this user engagement going forward. The number of active users on the PlayStation Network has also dropped by 1 million in the latest quarter to 102 million players.
Jeez. Some significant losses.
I actually had a theory about this. You guys can poke holes in it. So people would have PlayStation Plus, they'd put it on their credit card, and it would just renew all the time. With this new PlayStation Plus service, PlayStation/Sony has been sending out a lot of emails, letting everybody know, hey, here's all the tiers. This is where you're going to be once the new tiers come out. This is where you stand if you keep paying what you pay. You can also upgrade this and that. And I think it's brought a lot of people who were not using PlayStation Plus, who possibly even did not realize they were still paying for it. And they thought, oh, I actually don't use this anymore. It brought it to their attention, and then they unsubscribed.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I didn't unsubscribe. Well, I guess I should say, like, I still have service, but I'm probably not going to renew mine. Because I don't use my PlayStation enough at this point. And yeah, it really is becoming a thing with when people have their multiple streaming services all going at the same time. It's like you have to drop one to pick up another because they're too expensive to all have at the same time. And it doesn't make sense for me to have the PlayStation Plus if I'm not really using it enough to justify it. So I'll be a part of the next million they lose, I guess.
Let me tell you something. I'm part of this 2 million. I canceled it.
Was it because of the tier system, or was it external?
No, I've actually wanted to cancel it for years. I bought a PS5 because it was the fad at the time, and I was playing Overwatch, which required a PS Plus subscription. That was the only thing that required it. And then I was trying to figure out a way, I don't want to pay for this anymore. Overwatch was in crossplay, but then they announced that Overwatch was going crossplay. I'm like, okay, so I could do this on an Xbox. And then they said it's going free to play. And then I threw my arms up in excitement, because free-to-play games on PlayStation, Xbox don't require PS Plus or Xbox Live Gold. You don't need to pay the online subscription. So I'm like, perfect. So I immediately set it to cancel. I canceled a few weeks ago. I still play Overwatch with these guys on console. And then the only thing that I wasn't able to do is wrap up. I'm playing another game with we're going through the division, and we're maybe 2/3 of the way through. But that group is now playing Overwatch a lot. So when we do inevitably go back to The Division, I'm going to turn it back on a monthly basis, even though it
Yeah.
will be slightly more expensive. But then as soon as we're done that game, I'm going to be canceling it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I it felt good because I'm also on that subscription kick. I got rid of my Spotify premium went. I'm getting rid of my Amazon Prime. I got rid of I'm going to get rid of my gym membership because I've been paying for that for the last 2 years during the pandemic. I'm planning on getting rid of the Netflix or downsizing, depending on another future story that we will talk about. And I turned on a discounted Apple Music Plus. So for $6 a month, I get not Apple Music Plus, Apple Music or whatever it's called. So like I'm one of the Canadians that are just kind of cleansing the subscriptions, and PS Plus was one of them.
Would you not have a music? Because you used to buy CDs.
I still buy CDs.
Would you go back to that though? Like if there was no discounted Apple Music, because it's like you have an alternative for your PS Plus, like you're going to activate it monthly when needed, and you're playing with us on free to play, for example. Yeah. But there's no like free music. Well, I guess Spotify's free.
There are free options. There are free music apps, and I'm a big proponent of library services, of community services. So there are free streaming services that are meant for libraries. So there's a streaming service for music, movies, shows, and books all alike. I cannot remember the name of it, and I know my brother's listening to this right now, and he's
Amazon.
It's just Amazon, yeah.
Overcast, maybe. Something it'll come to me. Anyways, it's an online streaming service that is tiered, but it's based on the library's subscription into it. So the bigger and more robust your municipal library service is, the more access they give you to this digital catalog. Hoopla? Maybe that's the name of it. Hoopla? Maybe.
I do recall you saying that. I don't know what that is.
Probably that. So you use your library, in my case, the Hamilton Public Library access card, to log into this, and there are things on there. It's not great. It's not fantastic, but there's other free options. There's like iHeartRadio. There's
Spotify free on desktop. You can actually choose the songs too, if memory serves.
Didn't even know that. So
yeah, you get so many skips per day for free.
Yeah, I do that sometimes on the only artists that I keep in Spotify now are artists that I will listen to. Like there's a few artists that I will literally listen to anything that comes up from them. Those are the only ones that I keep in my Spotify because I don't give a shit what comes up on there on the next one. But to answer your question, Matt, if I didn't get a discounted Apple one, no, I wouldn't be paying for the Apple one. For $6 a month, that's nothing. That's 3 coffees that I have to cut back on when I go buy coffees, and that covers that. Because getting rid of Amazon Music as part of my Amazon Prime, it did leave this gap for my music, streaming. But the whole point of my Plex, because I still do buy CDs, is my goal is to get all my music on there. And when new CDs come out, I get the CD, it goes on my Plex, and it lives there forever. And I don't have to worry about it. But finding new music and getting new music, that's where Apple Music, Spotify, insert service here, helps me discover that stuff. Or there are some pieces of music that you just can't get on CD or you can't buy because of licensing restrictions, or it's not available, or there's versions of songs. There's a version of a song that I love because it has Robert Smith as the vocals from The Cure, but the non-Robert Smith version, which is available on the album, is hot trash. Like I don't like that version at all, but his version's great, and you can't I don't think you can get that version. You can only stream it and get it on subscription services. Mm-hmm. So it's like bullshit scenarios like that I have to cater and entertain the services. But yeah, I would because I even toyed at one point. My biggest problem with subscriptions, music subscription services, I don't like the idea of getting just a music subscription service. And the reason why Amazon Prime was okay because I was getting Amazon Video or Prime Video, and there was enough on there for me to watch, and I was getting shipping and like Amazon Photos or whatever the hell, and Amazon Luna or Twitch Prime, whatever the hell the services are. So there was enough in there for me to justify that cost. Then because I almost entertained getting YouTube Premium because it would give me the music half as well. But I didn't want to give into that. Like I'm not ready to I'll die on that hill still, I think, right now for YouTube Premium.
Well, and the price just went up too.
Did it? All right.
Yeah,
Well, fuck you, YouTube.
Only the family plan, to be fair. Only the family plan.
Yeah,
throw me all the ads. I'll take all the ads. And then
6 at once before every video.
Yeah. 6-minute ads, unskippable. And if you look away, it doesn't count. It's watching your eyes.
That would be incredible.
There's a Black Mirror episode like that. It's horrifying. My last option was Apple Music, and there's a service another service that my brother told me about. It's called Unidrive. He's yelling at me again through the speaker. I can tell. Una something, where you make an account and you onboard your school credentials, and they'll validate it. So you make an account with this website with your personal email address. You onboard your school email address, and it says, okay, this is legitimized. We recognize this, and we will give you all these services at discount or free. And one of the options is Apple Music for Canadian. It's $5.99 a month. And then they will, and it's not like you have to make a bullshit account. They will actually just authorize your legitimate Apple account. So you go to Apple Music, you say, I want to subscribe. It kicks you over here, says, yeah, you're good. It kicks you back. Then you have Apple Music for $6 a month. So, that is my journey through. Because me canceling Amazon Prime, like me deciding to cancel that, had a ripple effect on a bunch of other services. It's like, okay, video, shipping, music, that's all gone. How do I do this? And so,
do you think that that's what a lot of these people are doing from the PlayStation Plus? Like, do you think it's from them not wanting to pay for it? Do you think it's my theory where they've just noticed that it's still on, or do you think that it's due to the revamp?
It's probably mostly due to the revamp. I don't know. That's hard to say. Honestly,
the revamp is confusing, I would say. Like it sounds like you're getting less, but you really aren't.
Yes, exactly. I was looking at it, and if you look at the base one, whatever it's fucking called,
PS Plus Core, I don't know, starter or something. Who knows? The base one.
Yeah, PlayStation Vanilla.
Essential, I think.
Yeah, Essential. That's the one. You look at it, it's like there's nothing different about this, but this feels garbage because they put it at the bottom of these of this podium level where you have 3 other tiers above it, and it just feels like you're getting less. And I'm actually almost curious to know if these 2 million subscribers, I'm really curious to know if we would ever find out how these are divided up by region, because Canadians are on a subscription cutting binge right now. And I think I talked about it in the last episode, but there was 1 in 3 Canadians in the last 6 months has canceled one of the 4 major streaming services in Canada. Like that was one of the recent polls. So I'm curious to know if Canadians are canceling it because they're part of that subscription binge, and if Americans are maybe cutting it because they don't feel the value anymore. I'm actually curious from like a territorial perspective, but I don't think PlayStation will release those numbers.
Well, the biggest problem I think with subscription fees just in general, and we're going to probably see, I think Netflix has lost a bunch of subscribers as well, is that everything is a subscription and not everything's big. So it's like, okay, let's say I'm watching I don't know, let's make something up. Something on Netflix, House of Cards. Sure, I don't know. I'm watching House of Cards on there. So I'm paying for the subscription while I'm watching it. Well, while I'm watching House of Cards, I'm not watching Rings of Power. So, maybe I'll get rid of my Prime Video sub, even though it's part of a whole Amazon Prime thing. But just for the sake of it, I'm not paying for Prime Video, let's say, if I can do that. I'm not paying for that anymore. So I'll like drop that. Then, I'm done House Cards in a month or two, whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I'd like to watch Rings of Power now. So then I turn on the Prime Video. I want to know how many people are dropping the subs like you are, like just dropping them and seemingly never to pick them up unless like out of absolute necessity, or whether there's people that are doing sort of the rolling blackout, if you will, of subscriptions. Because I honestly think the number one problem with subscriptions is that something like a Microsoft 365 for me is unbelievably useful. Same with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, unbelievably useful. I come out ahead probably $1,000 a year on that. You could charge me, $40 a month, and I'd still come out ahead probably on Xbox on Game Pass Ultimate.
So Microsoft, crank it up.
But like same with Microsoft 365, I use all their apps and the OneDrive and everything else. So like I'm coming out way ahead. Same with Prime as well. My entire damn family uses my Prime, so we're coming out ahead on Prime. So there's no problem. But then you got a problem where it's like I like to like sometimes take some pictures, and I wouldn't mind having Lightroom, but I'm a very casual user. But there's not a casual user Adobe Lightroom subscription. So am I really going to give, let's say, like a full subscription's worth to something I'm using casually versus giving a full subscription's worth to things that I use a lot? And something like Prime or something like Game Pass Ultimate, which bundle multiple services together, are like obviously a much greater value. And I'll be paying like, approximately the same just for Lightroom. It just doesn't make sense. And what sucks about it is like when these subscriptions started, what you used to be able to do is you used to be able to buy the perpetual license. So you could buy like the $200, just like it's like a CD or a disc or the download of that thing. And you would just get updates for 365 days and that'd be it. 1 year, that's it's over. And you can just download your software until it's no longer available for whatever reason, or the CD stops working. Or you could go on the subscription and keep getting updates forever. This was, again, the early days of this. Now that perpetual one is going away. Not everywhere, but in general, it's hard to find one where it's like, I'm going to spend 50, 30, 100, 200, even 300 once, and then I'll use this software for 7 years. So like that makes sense to me. Like that's worth it. I don't care about the latest Lightroom features. I'm a casual user, so who cares? But it's hard to reel in the casual crowd now because everyone's on that level playing field. Sure, there's some tiers here and there, like a bronze, silver, gold tier for stuff like the PlayStation Plus, like we're going through right now. But it's still kind of it's a problem because like there is no casual way to subscribe to stuff. It's either on or it's off, and it's all the way or not, which really sucks.
Yeah, it's just binary, right? And there's no, I mean, not that necessarily like the tiered system works necessarily. PlayStation, obviously, but like we almost need some sort of like switchboard where we can have every service on there, and then you just flip on and off, like the ones that you want at what time. It's a lot of work to go back and forth between subscribing and unsubscribing from services when you want certain features or certain access to certain content now, and then when you're done with it, where you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna unsubscribe, and then you've already paid for the whole month or whatever, right? So then maybe you're not using it as like efficiently as you could, but at least you're not sitting there with like 8 active subscriptions all at the same time when you're only using 2 of them.
I do appreciate services that make it super easy to turn them on and off. Well, turning them on is always easy. Like you'll do it with 3 buttons of any interface that you're on. Yeah. But things like Sony, I found it to be like I had to dig into a couple menus online to get it. But Xbox was, because Xbox has a Microsoft account page where you just go there and they're all managed there. Amazon was surprisingly easy to do. And another subscription that I remember that I have is Office 365. But that's just a necessity of life that I have to have. So.
It's one of your baselines. Like it's something that you're you're coming out ahead on. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah, but the only reason why I did it is because the legacy license that my school gave me that they were supposed to continuously give all alumni in perpetuity, they double backed on it and they said, we're not doing this anymore. We took it away. It's like, what? Like the agreement was you're supposed to give me a license forever. They go, yeah, but we took it away for all students. And they're I think the response was like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, jackasses. So that's why I think I finally bit off 365. So, but I lost my train of thought.
Well, that's subscription fees in a nutshell, and time will tell as to what happens with the PlayStation Plus tiers and the PlayStation Plus subscriber numbers in general, and the PlayStation Network active players as well. But moving on to something else here, big game release that came out recently was, of course, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, eagerly anticipated. I bought it, and it's fucking awesome. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Modern Warfare 2 players are being seemingly banned for using RGB software. This, of course, is for the PC version of the game, and this article comes to us from The Gamer. Modern Warfare 2 launched last week, restarting the annual Call of Duty cycle. That cycle came to an end pretty quickly for some people. Thousands of players have reportedly received permanent bans without being given an explanation as to why. That's according to Insider Gaming. A number of now banned players have reached out to the site's Tom Henderson, some including the message that they have been sent by Activision explaining why they have been banned. The problem is the message is pretty vague. It reads, your account has been permanently banned for using unauthorized software and manipulation of game data. One reply to an appeal against the ban reads, oh, sorry, I actually don't include that second part. So I didn't mean to read that. But anyway, Insider Gaming has hypothesized, though, that this problem might be the use of RGB software. Prior research into why Battlefield 2042 players were getting banned pointed that to be the likely reason. With that in mind, it's recommended that players uninstall Logitech G Hub IQ, which I believe is the Corsair one.
I have that on right now.
Afterburner and Razer Synapse 3, should they want to reduce the risk of being among the many who have already received permanent bans from Modern Warfare 2 for what appears to be no reason. Now, I don't know if that also includes, because it wasn't in that list, but the SteelSeries engine, I think is what it's called, or SteelSeries GG, or whatever the heck the SteelSeries one is now. That does like device management, but also does RGB. Whether it's part of the risk, I don't know. But I wanted to bring this up because our own, rest his soul, Ryan Johnson had problems but our own Ryan Johnson, he had problems with, he just got his PC, he got it all set up, and he had a couple of different RGB softwares due to his mouse peripherals and different, whatever, his RAM being different, whatever. Welcome to PC gaming. So he had a couple of different RGB softwares, and he tried to boot up the Division. He couldn't get it working. And he ended up narrowing it down to one of his RGB pieces of software had to be turned off or had to be whatever, put to sleep or whatever it was to get the game to boot up. And actually with myself, with my Lenovo Legion laptop, I have I think it's IQ, and I have like different game profiles where it sets the keyboard and the vents and all that to different colors based on the game. And I have a Division 1. And I've booted up the Division 2, and just like Ryan did, I booted up the Division 2, and it doesn't crash or anything, but my keyboard just goes black. It turns off all the LEDs, and then the game boots up. And when the game is shutting down while it's still turning off, it turns it on in the Division color and then goes back to my desktop color. So the Division 2 is really not compatible with IQ, apparently. And this is a little ridiculous. A little ridiculous that PC games are starting to bump up against each other just for RGB. I suppose it's due to hardware manipulation, however. I would assume, like you have a piece of software that's like really closely entangled with hardware, and so an anti-cheat probably sees that and goes like, this thing has hardware access, what the hell is it doing? Probably a cheat device. And then throws a flag, and the rest is history.
I find games completely are random with the RGB values. They don't have any rhyme or reason. Especially Civ. Civ does weird things to my keyboard.
Does it?
So yeah. The one thing that I noticed with iCUE, so I have the NZXT software to manage all the lights in my computer.
Yep.
Except for the RAM. The RAM is done through iCUE.
Because of course there.
Yeah. And I don't know. I'm assuming this is just like a system level thing because if I assign in my profile, my account, and all the things boot up, it takes over and the lights do what I tell it to do. So I can when I walk away from this computer, if I leave it running at night and I'm rendering something, I still want the lights off. I'll go to the NZXT software and I'll just toggle it to turn everything off. And it does it. It's fine. And then I go to iCUE and I do the same thing and it does it and everything's black. But for some reason, when I lock my computer, it goes back to my name, iCUE then turns on the RAM again to what I assume it knows it to be the previously picked color because it then turns it back to white. But then as soon as I pin in, like I put my pin in and I log in, it turns off again. And it's like, I think on the lock screen, I guess it buries iCUE and it can't see what I told it to do. So it reverts back. And that is infuriating.
I actually, so on my Lenovo Legion again, last year, I updated the firmware for the keyboard and it changed how the RGB worked and this and that. And when I used to lock the keyboard, so I just change everything to red. So I just literally go into iCUE, change it all to red unless I'm playing a game that has a specific color scheme, and that's it.
Mine's all white because I like the white aesthetics.
Right. So it's one color, that's it. When I used to, before the firmware update, when I used to lock the computer, it would just stay red. That'd be it. Now it changes to what the computer has as the default, which is the rainbow, kind of like the demo version of RGB, where it goes through all the colors. And it shows like this, almost like a spinning wheel of all the colors around my keyboard. It only keeps my color scheme when I'm actually logged in and not locked either. And what my theory is Windows 10 had a lot of problems with keeping the computer on. Like you would say, hey, when I'm not there, if I'm not using the computer for 10 minutes, turn the screen off. And it just wouldn't do that. Or it'd be like, hey, when I'm locked, turn the screen off after 3 minutes. And it just wouldn't do it. It just keeps it alive for whatever reason. Now, I've tracked that down to leaving a video program open. And even though you're locked, sometimes it'll think you're still watching or whatever, and it'll freak out. But even then, sometimes my computer just doesn't shut off its screens. And over time, it's gotten better. And I'm curious as to whether companies have started killing processes that run sort of in that limbo state to try to track down this bug. Or Windows is killing it or something. Or Windows is coming in and being like, nope, kill all this so that we can sleep, basically.
Yeah, it's a miracle that things on the Windows level actually talk to each other, especially when you have custom software running any of your graphics, keyboard, mouse, speakers, and then there's a system level thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just what decides to do what at what time. It's
well, I have my computer I'm using right now is really old, and it's using Bulldozer, which is an old AMD thing that is pretty bad. But anyway, it's known for a lot of USB issues, and I have just weird problems where I don't know, 1 in every 30 boots, my mouse just won't turn on, and it will unless I click, and it will only stay on if I have a button pressed. Otherwise, it just shuts off, and I can just unplug it and plug it back in. But it's just weird. So I can only imagine what the hell's going on. This is just a simple mouse being plugged into USB. So I can only imagine what the hell's going on with anti-cheat software trying to detect RGB, let alone Windows trying to sleep. It's probably hell. It's probably a hellish landscape, honestly. The next story here then. So Microsoft loses between $100 and $200 on every Xbox it sells. This comes to us from Kotaku. At a recent Wall Street Journal Tech Live event, as reported by CNBC, Spencer, which is Phil Spencer, talked about how video games and the Xbox brand in specific are doing during the ongoing economic downturn. Rising prices and record inflation are putting a pinch on many as dollars don't go as far as they used to. During the live event, Spencer confirmed that Microsoft loses around $100 to $200 every time it sells the $500 Xbox Series X or the smaller $300 Xbox Series S. These are American prices, by the way. Spencer told the Wall Street Journal interviewer that the expectation at Microsoft is that customers will buy accessories and games alongside the subsidized consoles, helping to offset the losses. While Spencer didn't say anything about raising the prices on either next-gen Xbox, which is the X or the S, he did let slip that he doesn't think Microsoft will be able to keep game prices constant forever. We've already seen the rise of the $70 game since the launch of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S. Once again, these are American prices because they're much more expensive here. And Microsoft has yet to release a $70 game. But it seems that future releases like Redfall or Starfield might make that leap. What do you guys think about this? I knew they lost money. I didn't know it was that much.
I thought every manufacturer, doesn't every manufacturer lose money on every console out of the gate and then they have to make it up?
Yes, but I thought it was like $30 or $40. I didn't know it was going to be $100 to $200.
I thought it differed for every console. Like I thought the news was that like the PS3 like lost money forever. The PS4 as well. And the PS4 was like it was losing like something like $90 or something per one.
Right.
And that's why as the console's like life cycle goes on, the consoles themselves lose more and more features. Like the PS3 doesn't have the Blu-ray player anymore, or like the Wii doesn't play GameCube games and like stuff like that. It's all to offset the cost of manufacturing because people aren't like buying the hardware so much anymore. So they want to start releasing the newer mini versions or the more portable versions or whatever that have fewer features, but then it lowers the bar of entry into the infrastructure, and then they can start getting more consoles in more people's hands, and they can start buying more games and thus making the company more money again.
Yeah, exactly. Plus the PS3 it went through two iterations, right? It had the PS3, the big one, like the George Foreman grill. Yep. Then it had the slim, and then it had the really weird one where the top like shifted back and forth. And those are
super slim, yeah,
the super slim, and those are due to maybe better cooling and stuff over time. But ultimately, it's to lower the cost of production.
Yeah,
and then the price usually stays relatively the same, and then that helps like squeeze that gap. But I mean, I guess even at $200, I mean, we're talking about a console ecosystem really that is like really trying to sell us on a subscription fee, and not just Xbox Live anymore, because that was around for a long time, but like a full on ecosystem fee where you're paying for that Xbox Game Pass or the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes your Xbox Live Gold and your PC Game Pass. So I mean, like they're not going to be losing their $100 to $200 for long, certainly. I still find it interesting that it's that high. To justify that, because like think about like you're losing $100 and think about like selling 2 million. Like it's not like you're losing $1 a piece and you're losing $2 million. Like it's just this is $200 million. It's pretty wild. So I don't know, what do you guys think that like if the price, like do you guys think that with this price disparity that the games are going to go up like they're saying, or do you think that the consoles are going to go up?
I think they could get away with saying, "Oh, inflation, so the price of the consoles has to go up." Like I think that I can see that happening in a very real reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe it is and is not because of inflation, but it makes up for the loss of when the cost of manufacturing versus the price now, right?
Especially, I guess, especially now since it's like, well, I was going to say like we might be approaching another iteration, but maybe not because these consoles are so kind of hard to find. I was thinking that now would be the approximate time where like maybe next holiday season, like 2023's holiday season, is when we would see another iteration. Now, like we just said, the price will largely stay the same, but usually once a console ages to that point, they start giving you just really good bundles. And so, sure, like the console will go up in price, but like they'll give you a really nice deal at Christmas with like 4 or 5 games or 3 games or whatever. I do not want to see the $70 US game though, because we in Canada are already paying, what is it, $89.99? No,
yeah,
or 70. Is it 89?
It was 79 before, and PS5 games they're 89, right?
They're 89, yeah. And Forspoken, I think, is that one PS thing. That thing's base version Canadian is something like 93.24 before tax.
Before tax, jeez.
Yeah. So it's pretty rugged out there. It's pretty. I mean, I get it. And there's even an episode of this podcast where I was saying charge $100 for the games. The games haven't gone up, but this was that was in a pre-Game Pass game subscription era. Now, like, the landscape's different, and so now I feel weird again to try to pay this much for each individual game.
It's really hard to justify the full price of a game when you can get so many from these like subscription services.
And the free ones too, which are sometimes from subscription, like Xbox Live Gold or PS Plus, or just Epic. Like Epic just gives them to you. Like
I get free games through. I used to get them through PS Plus, Amazon Prime, Epic Games. Yep. There's probably another one. There's so many free games coming in. You had to go in and redeem them. I stopped redeeming them. Like it wasn't even worth going in to click it anymore. It's just becoming this task. Like
the chore.
It's a chore thing. Like, are you planning to play every game that you redeem, or do you only redeem the ones that you're interested in playing?
If it's one that I'm maybe interested in playing one day, when I find a proper work-life balance, I'll get to it. But everyone knows that's not
shit in order.
Yeah, no one knows that's actually happening.
So quite a pipe dream you got going on there.
Yeah. But most of the time it's just, no, I don't even want to. Or if I know I have it on another service, I'm like, I'm not even going to click it here, because why would I take it on Epic Games when I have it on PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam already? So,
yeah.
I guess the thing with all the free games too is that, I guess the idea is, like, let's say if we look at if we silo Epic Games Store, it's like Epic's giving you, a couple games a month, whatever it is. Some of them are pretty high fidelity games. Like the AAA games are still rather expensive if you were to purchase them too. So then you would feel more inclined to spend money on Epic if you're using Epic. It's the same thing with like Steam, where if Steam were to give you free games, or like, and it's direct from Valve, like the incentive kind of is like, well, they did give me, this and this, and I saved a couple $100 over the last year because of that. Okay, I'll buy the latest Red Dead, the latest GTA, or whatever it is, I suppose, is the ultimate goal. But yeah, so anyway, interesting numbers on the Xbox console. Time will also tell whether the prices will increase on the games, on the services, on the consoles, whatever else. But on to the story, which is flanking the last story, which is flanking sort of a Query Corner question, although I think it's going to be brief. Doesn't have to be, though. So the story, it reads, Netflix with ads launches today. Here's everything you need to know. This is from GameSpot. So I just took the main kind of things here. There were separate sections. And the first section that I took was the price. So Netflix Basic with ads, which is what this ad tier is called, costs $7 a month in the United States. This is the rate for new subscribers and people with an existing plan that they want to convert. A chart posted on Netflix's website provides a breakdown of the company's various plans, including Basic with ads, which again is $7 a month, Basic, which is $10 a month, Standard, which is $15.50 a month, so that's $15.50, and Premium, which is $20 a month. And what do you get with this? So Netflix Basic with ads is an ad-supported membership that gives subscribers access to Netflix's catalog minus some titles, which I thought was interesting, at the resolution of up to 720p. This plan allows for playback on one supported phone, tablet, computer, or TV at a time. The membership also includes access to Netflix games, which doesn't have any ads or microtransactions, and the ability to download titles is not supported with the new. Is not supported with the new Netflix Basic with ads membership. So you can't download movies or whatever for offline use if you're going to the cottage or whatever. Now, why aren't some titles available is the final section here that I copied over. And according to Netflix, certain TV shows and films are not available with the new ad-based tier due to licensing restrictions. Viewers will see a lock icon when they come across a title that is not available through the new subscription tier. Netflix had to obtain new rights and renegotiate deals for the ad-based tier. And that means about 5% to 10% of programming won't be there at launch, Netflix told Deadline. So this flanks my question, and we could talk about the story and the question, but would you ever consider using an ad-supported subscription service like an Xbox, say, Game Pass, but the ad-supported version, like an Xbox Basic with ads, for example?
There's already ads on the Xbox dashboard, isn't there?
There is, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there is.
And there were some of those sports games. Like, wasn't there an NBA game that had commercials every time you had like a load screen? Like, it's definitely something
there was
that's been
something like
experimented
that.
with before.
There was something like that, but for some reason that doesn't infuriate me because advertising and sponsorship is just it's just a given part of any sort of sports league. Like you look at it and there's just advertising anywhere, so it's almost it almost makes it feel more authentic for some reason.
No, I see what you mean, 100%. Yeah, it's like because they figure the core demographic for people who are going to play sports games are people that like sports, right? So they're already used to seeing ads all the time. Mm-hmm. It's an extremely commercial hobby.
and then you geolocate your user base and you put in appropriate ads.
Yeah, you get that hyper targeting going.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, I could see it. So when you say this, when you bring up this question, Matt, do you mean that the games are like the subscription service is free and then you watch ads as like the payment, or that you're paying for the subscription and it's also ads?
Like either one, like you're either getting like a Netflix situation where, let's say, it's
it
Game
makes
Pass.
A difference, right?
Yeah, so like let's say, well, we could discuss that too. So it's like let's say just for the sake of this conversation, so I don't remember the price of Game Pass. Let's say Game Pass is $15 a month, and let's say you can get the ad-supported version for $10 a month versus free. You know,
right?
So it would, like, I don't know what the difference would be there in terms of like what you'd see, maybe more ads, less ads, like what you would find acceptable. That's kind of, I guess, the thing we can discuss there. But the kind of, I guess, focus of it would be that it's not necessarily the sponsorships in the games like we just described. It would be ads that are actually served by the service. So the service would, you know, a loading screen would come across, and then it would, even if the loading only took 20 seconds, there would still be a 60-second ad or something. And that would be served by Game Pass.
And
I don't think I would do it. I don't think in the current like gaming environment, I don't think there's any reason to do that. Because like if you want to watch ads to play games, like there's a million free game websites out there where it's like you can watch ads, like Flash games and stuff, like how we used to have to play games online. One of those Flash websites like Newgrounds and cool math games and all that shit. But if I had to pay for a subscription and then also watch ads, that's like, no, like then what am I paying for at this point, you know? Like it would have to be a really significant price difference, like $2 a month or something versus the 15, you know?
That would make a huge difference. You're right. Like tossing a toonie at it or nothing at it and having the ads, like that would be interesting for sure. Even if you were doing like the rolling blackout, like I said, where you turn off and on subscription services, and let's say you're just playing, you know, not as many Game Pass games this month. So you turn that off and you just go on the ad tier for a couple bucks for free. Then you could still jump into that Halo match if someone invites you, type of thing. It's like as a sporadic moment. But then when you start playing by yourself a whole bunch again, or your friends are always online for that month or whatever, for whatever reason, then you could resubscribe again. Like having an ad tier would be a nice, I don't know, blanket, if you will, a nice like soft landing for you, like having that rolling blackout of subscription services, so that you're not like, oh shit, like now I gotta get the credit card out because I wanted to press play on this and it didn't work and this and that. It would just play with an ad. You're just like, oh right, okay, after I watch this or after I play this, I'll, like, just from a UX perspective, I can turn on the premium later and you're not interrupted.
I don't think I would pay for a subscription that had ads when I had it free before. So I don't think I would ever pay for a YouTube with ads when I had YouTube with ads for free. But we all know that's the future we're going towards. But I would pay for a Netflix with ads if it was cheaper than a Netflix with ads. Because I've never had a free Netflix, so I've never conditioned myself to.
You never known what it was like.
Exactly. Like Crunchyroll has a free tier where you watch it with ads, and then you can pay without ads.
No, it's abysmal too. It's so many ads.
Yeah, but the thing is, my wallet will win every time. So so I'll go through that. So I would never willingly pay. I wouldn't even pay for Crunchyroll with ads if that was the bottom option after giving it away for free. Once you get a taste, it can't happen.
What if it was something that was like a new like indie service, like back when Crunchyroll first started? They didn't have ads, or like it was super small and it was just sort of like a passion project. But then it became big and it became a really good service, but they needed to start charging for it and had like ads.
I think it would be a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Depends on what the service is, depends what the company is, depends what the price is.
Yeah. And that's the best way to do it, I think. I think it works for some media, but I don't know if it necessarily works for gaming.
I would say too, like I remember way back in the first Crackdown, like you guys were talking about sponsorships in the games. I remember I was playing the first Crackdown late in its life, and all the billboards and everything were one missed call because like there weren't any other people paying for their ads, and like it kind of like ruins the experience a bit. And those were like integrated into the billboards and stuff, which I'm normally more okay with. The same with Rainbow Six Vegas. They used to have real ads that people would pay for, and it would go all over. The casinos have billboards and lit up signs and those type of things. And so like real ads for, I don't know, Ford or whatever would be all over the place. But as that game aged out, the ads got worse because there's less publications. It's probably cheaper, relevant. So more people can come in, but less people want to come in because the game's old. And so you start just getting like every ad, or almost every ad of every billboard just being like the Ford F-150 or whatever, or one missed call in the case of Crackdown. It like that in itself cheapened it. And so if I had the same experience and it was pausing my play, like if it was being served by the service, it would, I don't know that I would do it. I will say this though, is a lot of my subscriptions, some of them are just for convenience or whatever, or for family members. I've like bought like BritBox for family members for Christmas for the year or whatever, stuff like that. But like in terms of my own personal thing is usually I buy a subscription service if I come out ahead, either monetarily or, through other means. Like if I really want to watch this show and like I really like that show, like if there's a Stargate, if Stargate's on Prime Video, I'm paying for Prime Video. Like it's over, for example. Hi, Giuliano. Oh, he always mentions my mention of Stargate, so I had to bring it in once this episode.
I think his one message to me one time when we were talking about Ryan Star Wars, me Star Trek, and you Stargate, and you had called it a world class IP or something like that. And he messaged me. He goes, "In what universe does Matt think Stargate is a world class IP?"
Oh, this one. You can't. Yeah, this exact one. Oh, but yeah, no, I think that like if Game Pass started, right now I'm coming out ahead on Game Pass. I'm not buying as many games, and the amount of games that I would buy would total way more than what Game Pass costs. So I'm way ahead financially. But if for whatever reason I started to lose a lot, I could, if I was using the service less for whatever reason, and I'm only using it for like just when someone's like, "Hey, let's jump on a game of Halo, let's jump on a game of COD or whatever," and that game just happens to be on Game Pass, I could probably tolerate ads a little bit. But when my experience kind of grows and I want more value from it, I'm not going to play the new, say, God of War, even though yes, I know it's a PlayStation license, but I'm not going to play the new God of War, and then it'll be like, "What happens to Kratos? Find out in the next 30 seconds after we talk about like beneficial food, like for dogs or whatever." And it's like, well, hang on, Jesus. But when I'm playing something like Halo Online it's not like a super immersive, it's not like a super whatever experience. And so I'd be okay with it being like, hey, we're going to delay your loading for like 12 seconds longer than it normally would be to show you all about Rogaine or whatever. So that's kind of where I'm at there. I would analyze it and determine if I come out ahead. And if not, then maybe I would do the ad supported. But with that, we're on the last segment of the day. What are we playing? Which one of you guys want to go first? Choose amongst yourselves.
I don't really have much to talk about. It's just mostly Sleeping Dogs all this week. I finished it off today on stream. And I forgot really how like compelling the end of that game is. It's really quite good overall. I think the game is like hugely underappreciated, and it was considered a commercial failure. Like, we were looking it up after I had finished the game. It only sold 1.5 million copies, and it had a budget of $30 million. So like it was considered a huge flop, and it's no wonder that they didn't ever like release a sequel. But everyone who's like, I've never talked to anybody who has played Sleeping Dogs and didn't really enjoy it. Like, it's a really well done game, and it's just a crime that it did as badly as it did. And I really do wonder why, like what it was about the game that maybe it just wasn't like marketed properly or what, that people didn't enjoy it enough. But I'm just glad that we at least got to play it for what it is, even if it means we don't get a sequel ever. But
it was rescued too, right? It was True Crime Streets of Hong Kong, and it was purchased and then switched to Sleeping
originally
Dogs.
yeah, and it just became a different it just bounced around between publishers. Or not bounced around, it went between two, but
right.
Yeah, it was that's pretty much it. It's not a very long story, but there's like all the side content's really good. And it's funny because I've heard from multiple people that they played it and enjoyed it so much that they, like, later on in their life, they took a vacation to Hong Kong because of the way that
oh wow,
the game like introduced it to them. And it's like with the Yakuza games where people go to Japan because they like played the Yakuza games. They're like, I love these like districts because the game recreates them in such like vivid detail that it gives people sort of an idea of like what it would be like to actually be a tourist in those areas of Japan. So
that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's really been my week.
How much of Sleeping Dogs did you finish in this week? Like, because I know you started it last week, right? Like, how much of the game do you think you finished it this week? Like 70% of it or so? Because it's not super long, right?
Yeah, probably the majority this week, just because last week was kind of up in the air for us a lot of the time with like work being done in the house. But
oh, right.
It was I mean, there's still a ton of side stuff that I didn't do. You can kind of just focus down a bunch of main story stuff if you want to. Well, obviously with like a lot of these games, you can always just do the main story. But yeah, it was I just kind of did whatever was. I played it like Adriano, where I did whatever was in my path. I didn't really go out of my way very much.
That's how you do it.
And it makes it, very enjoyable for a stream type of playthrough, because I've already played the game before. This is my second playthrough, and I think I maybe came across a handful of things that I hadn't done before, but overall it was all stuff that I had seen before.
Pretty good. Adriano.
Yeah, fully recommend.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, if you have an interest in like the sort of Yakuza games or the GTA style games in like a Hong Kong setting, it's really good, and I'm sure you could get it for like super cheap now. But it's a really enjoyable game and really good for what it is in the genre. And I'm sad, but I guess not that surprised that it didn't do as well as it could have.
I believe it also was an Xbox Live Games with Gold, the definitive edition, I think was. So if anyone claims all those and forgot about it, this was a long time ago, but that's how I played the definitive edition. I'm fairly certain, because I don't think I paid for it. So just an FYI, if anyone wants to check their back library, they might already have it. Mr. Adriano, what have you been up to this week?
I I besides the sorry, I'm a little distracted right now, but you'll find out why in a minute. So I, work in all the bullshits of life, but I was supposed to start a course yesterday, but they actually canceled it for the semester the day before I started it because I don't think they had enough people enrolled in it to run it, which is very unfortunate. So now I have 2 nights a week now to play more games. The problem is though, I'm playing the same 3 games over and over again. I guess it's not a problem because I'm having fun. But this is what I've been playing. I've been playing Overwatch, the PS4 version on PS5. And I've been playing it. So I've been playing the console version with you guys. When I say you, Matt, Wes, Aaron, Ryan, Marty. And then I've been playing the PC version with other people, and we've been dabbling with that. And I've been kind of conditioning myself, mouse and keyboard. The problem is I'm playing the same character on both consoles, and I have different move sensitivities on each one. And what I might do is start making characters exclusive to certain consoles. Like I don't think I'm going to touch Junkrat on console. I'll leave him for PC, and so on and so forth. So I've been pretty much been playing that because I unfortunately have to like get through the season pass because I bought it and I think it's very debilitating. So I'm forcing myself every free minute to get it, but I would rather be playing something like Sea of Thieves. So I've been playing that as well with people. I'm trying to get enough in premium currency to buy a ship set because I want a new ship. So we've been kind of just going around, and I'm almost level 50 for Order of Souls. I'm level 50 on the other 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm almost level
Jesus.
50, which means I can eventually do the Athena stuff. So that's very exciting. And then I have been playing a copious amount, and I have to highlight, underline, bold, and stress the word copious amounts of Marvel Snap.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people who are like playing it are like obsessed with it.
This game has pretty much consumed every free minute that I have, and even minutes that I don't have free. Like it's quite problematic. So, I wake up. It's the first thing I think about, and I play it like as I'm walking around the house, and then I'm like in between moving around the house in the morning. I am, while I'm cooking, I have something playing. I'm knocking off games of Marvel Snap. It is because the games are so quick. The decks are so easy to build. You're building new decks every day because you're just like, well, I did this yesterday and it didn't work for me, or I don't like it, and I'm building another one. It's 12 cards. You don't even play all 12 every game. So it is incredibly easy to kind of jump in, jump out. And it's so easy that I like walking from the parking garage down going down the elevator across the street into the hospital up to my office. I knocked off 2 games. Like I was just single-handed because it's designed to hold a portrait and you could play with a thumb and that's it. So I was just making sure I wasn't getting hit by cars while I was crossing the street. Other than that, I was in Marvel Snap and I got 2 games done on the way to my office.
What a damn safety concern here.
Oh,
it's like when people were playing Pokemon Go and like walking into fountains and shit.
but I'm really good at doing something. What's the opposite of peripheral vision? What do you call the opposite of peripheral vision?
Vision?
Central vision?
Maybe. I know there's a name for it, but I'm really good at utilizing my peripheral vision while I'm doing something else. Like I know how to deviate around people while focusing on the thing in front of me. So this game is so consuming. It is so I think I described this last time when I was on the podcast. There are people who play card games because they like to build decks and they like to find out combos. And then the collection part is a part of that, to collect every card, upgrade it, or whatever. there's some people who play card games because they like to collect the cards and like to look through your collection. That's me. I play the game and I make the decks to get better cards and upgrade them. And I just like looking at them. But this game is it's so easy to kind of to figure out combinations and to adjust things on the fly that it's very inviting to kind of like, okay, well, this doesn't work for me. I'm going to go in, I'm going to dump this, I'm going to try that, jump back in. And I'm making a new deck every day. And there's no deck limit on like Bloody Hearthstone. So I have decks that I have, incomplete ones. Like I have there's named, like I have an Apocalypse deck. I have an Odin deck, Spectrum. I have a Deathlock. I have Professor X, and like they all do different things. And then I have sub cards to complement that. I have an Infinite deck, which I was fucking dominating with. And what happens is I'll pretty much run a deck until I start to lose with it consistently. I'm like, okay, I've run this. And then I don't delete it, but then I go make a new one. And it took a while for Ryan to get into this. So I'm talking in a group chat with Ryan and Marty. So I'm comparing with them. And then I'm talking in a group chat with Braden and Sean because they're also playing it. So we're kind of just comparing things. And we're comparing like move decks and, this and that. And I can't do a move deck to save my life. Like it's just too complex for me and I'm second guessing everything. So I'm not doing a move deck, but Ryan was like, I'm still using the base one. So, I don't have the cards that I can't really figure out. I'm like, okay, send me a screenshot of what you have in your collection. And then I made a deck for Ryan. I called it Ryan's deck and I still have it with me here. And then I'm like, use this, Ryan. And then I'm like, you don't have this card and this card, but when you get these two, swap out this card for that one and this one for that, and then try that. And then so Ryan took it and started using it and it was working for him. Like he started winning matches. So he called the deck on his end, the Adriano. So his version of that deck is called Adriano and mine is called Ryan's deck. So then I take it. Yeah, exactly. So then I take it and then I make the version that I wanted to make if I had more cards. But so I made it like Ryan's deck -A. And I've been using Ryan's deck all day today, and I was pretty much cleaning house. But then I woke up and I was trying to use the Hobgoblin deck that I made, and it wasn't working. And then I got a new card today, the Collector. And I have been toying around with that. And this is how much I've been toying around with this. I have received that card. I have made a deck. I have played it several times, lost and won, lost more times than I've won, dismantled it, rebuilt it, and now I'm happy with it all in the time that we have been recording this podcast. As soon as we hit record, I booted up Snap and I've been playing it this entire recording.
You son of a bitch.
so and
you
that's
son
how,
of a bitch.
And that's how approachable it is. It's a easy thing to put on the side. It's just a thing that's there that you can just glance over, throw something down, or analyze, go back to doing what you're doing. And it doesn't help that while I have it installed on all my iOS devices, it's completely cross-play and cross-save with the Steam version. So it's in a windowed thing right now beside the Audacity recording. And I've been playing it for the last however long we've been recording, almost 2 hours. So this has kind of consumed my life. Like there's like little tiny projects that I've wanted to do, and I'm not even doing those because I just play Marvel Snap all day. And
you're the one that canceled that course.
Oh, that was 5. I'm frustrated about that. I was talking to Ryan about it yesterday because I was looking forward to just doing like a class, like 3 hour or 2 3-hour classes a week. I just wanted to sit down and focus on something, and they canceled it at the last minute. And I don't have time. Like I don't have time to look for a replacement one. So
because of Snap.
Yeah, but I was really looking forward to doing that course, and it was frustrating that they canceled it. And I bought the courseware for it already. Like I bought the books, so that was upsetting. But then I thought about Marvel Snap, and then this
And
kind
then
of
you got over it. Yeah.
yeah. So
Emotional support game.
exactly. So the current season is the symbiote season, and I've hit the top level. What I need to decide in the next 3 days before it resets is, do I bite off the premium season pass and get everything that I did not claim on the way up to 50? And I'm having a hard time with this because talking with Ryan and Marty yesterday, we did some Googling, and it turns out that we were under the assumption that if there's a card in the premium tier, that you can get it for free some other way. But that's not the case. There's a Miles Morales Spider-Man card that is only available if you pay for it. And we don't know if it's going to be free later, if they're going to somehow put it free later. But right now, if I want it, I have to fork over money. And
how much
classic
does it cost?
Right now I'm looking at a button that says Canadian $13.99. I'm assuming
13.
Yeah, I know. If it was single digits, if it was just under the 10, if it was $9.99, I'd be like, yeah, sure. But it's $13.99, and the card is the only card that I get, but there are exclusive variants, and it's like, okay, well, I'm collecting the cards and I like to have every card. So do I do this? And you get a bunch of other gold premium currency, which then lets you buy other variants. Like, I'm scrolling through it right now, and I'm trying to justify to myself. I'm having a tough time with this. I know my friend Sean has bought it because he sent me a deck with he has Miles Morales in it.
I mean, I guess I look at it in the way that, like, how many hours of entertainment you've gotten out of it already.
Oh, yeah, let's take a look. So on Steam,
can probably justify it based on like money to time, right?
Yeah. So on Steam alone, because it doesn't account for my iOS playthrough, Steam alone, I'm already at 9 hours in the 4 days that I've installed it on Steam. So, and then that's just at home, or that's just at my desk, because when I'm walking around the house, and I'm talking about like when I'm doing anything else in the house, like when I'm moving between, like I can't, like I'm grabbing clothes to go in the shower, and I'm walking to the washroom, I'm running a game of Marvel Snap, and then I leave it on the table outside the washroom when I'm done that game, and I get out of the shower. On my way to my bedroom to get it, I'm picking up again. I'm watching another game of Marvel Snap. And so I can't even account for the mobile versions of it, but on Steam alone, I'm at 9 hours.
What is the definition of an addiction when it is getting in the way of you doing things in your life that you need to do? I think it's considered an addiction.
Yeah, maybe. And then I'm trying to like rationalize it back to Hearthstone, because I have spent real money on Hearthstone on the launch packs. Like, they give you like the mega bonus packs. So I don't know. I am having a really tough time with this, because this goes against a lot of my moral compass.
Principle.
Yeah.
You're a very principled man.
So
and it's making you question your entire life now.
So yeah, that's Marvel Snap. I highly recommend it.
It's not what you've been playing. That's Marvel Snap. That's
yeah. It's not what you've been playing. Yeah, this is my life now.
This is so, like, at one point I said like Hearthstone was the thing that I just did. Like, I opened up the app and I did the dailies and I did whatever and I closed it, and next day I did it again. I treated it like smoking. Like, it was just a thing that I did. This is quickly following the same pattern as Hearthstone. And it's funny,
Hearthstoner.
Yes, and it's funny because I load up BattleNet today, and there's a nice little gift icon, and I click on it, and they deposited it to, I guess they're giving it to a bunch of players. They gave 75 packs plus 75 packs, so 2 different expansions of 150 packs of cards to me at the very least. I'm assuming all Hearthstone players. And it's like, this is a shit ton of cards. And it's like, I wonder what could have happened in the last 2 weeks for them to prompt them trying to bring players into a card game. I don't know, maybe the launch and the
Insane
immediate success of another competing card game that is way more approachable, way faster to play, has a much bigger recognizable IP tied to it.
No, that could be it.
Yeah, like I wonder what it is. And I'm super convinced that the whoever develops this game, obviously commissioned by Marvel, clearly they haven't introduced all the characters yet in the Marvel cinematic or in the Marvel universe. But if they were, from just like a marketing standpoint, if you're approaching like the 3 to 4 months before a major new Marvel character in an MCU that you know isn't quite famous yet,
You can make him famous through.
You make him famous by introducing the card. Like if Moon Knight was coming out now, you would introduce a Moon Knight card and get those variants out there. And then when Moon Knight hits your banner advertisements on your streaming boxes, it's like, oh, I know that, and you're going to click on it. It's quite something.
Part of the grand plan. It kind of sounds like.
Consider me impressed. It is an insanely well designed game. So, yep, you can pretty much assume from here on out, every time you ask me what I've been playing, it's going to be Marvel Snap.
Adriano, Marvel Snap Petty.
Yeah. What have you been playing, Matt?
So for myself, I have finally completed to full completion Prototype 2 on the PS4. I've completed that I got the Platinum Trophy, which was my last thing I had to do. The only thing I didn't do in the game was do all the time trials and stuff, because they're not needed for trophies. Apparently it was added as a DLC or an update or something later anyway, which is why it's not in the base trophies. I haven't 100% confirmed that, but I'm not going to, because I got it. I've done it. I beat the game once again. I beat it on normal, and then I beat it again on hard. And I just flew through it. I flew through that last chapter in like probably an hour, maybe an hour and a half, just because my character shows up. There's a boss fight. I click a button, boss goes down, then I'm on to the next level. So
Jesus Christ.
It's pretty wild. Game is horrible writing, but I love it. It's really lame and stuff like that. It's
really lame.
It's really lame. There's some just, it's just like overly aggressive for no reason. Just like, yeah, like that's just what it is. It's just you're playing a very angry protagonist or anti-hero or whatever. And
he loves the word brah.
Loves the word brah, just loves it. No, he hates it. He hates everything. He's always yelling and screaming and
hates everything.
Calling people names and swearing a whole bunch. So that game is done and uninstalled, and I'm on to yet another old game. I was not going to do this next, but I've had this installed for quite a while, and it's Stubbs the Zombie. Full title is Stubbs the Zombie and Rebel Without a Pulse. It was re-released on Switch and PlayStation 4, and I don't know if it's on Xbox, but it is on Xbox One. But basically, I've always wanted to play it. Always wanted to play it on PC, and I just never got around to it as a kid. And when I saw this thing come up on sale a while ago, I picked it up, and I've had it installed for quite a while because it is really small. And I was going to jump into Metro, or I was going to jump into a bigger experience, but I just had a feeling that Stubbs the Zombie was going to be short. And so I just looked up how long it was to beat. Very short, kind of like a COD campaign in length. So I thought, this is perfect. I've been doing Prototype for a really long time. I was going to jump into Stubbs the Zombie, get it done quick, maybe 4 or 5 sessions, whatever, get it done. And then it's kind of, there's the check mark. Did the first level, which I don't even know if I'm actually done the entire first level, but I'm done the first part of it, hit some sort of major checkpoint at the very least. And it is the most 2005 game I think I've ever fucking played.
Oh, no.
Huge environments with nothing in them. Very few enemies so far, although I am in the tutorial section. The audio sounds like shit. Lately, I've noticed that like the audio in games has really improved, not just in the engineering of like things fading in and the mixes and stuff, but like the actual just the sound quality itself, like the files that are being played, the MP3s or whatever they are being played. Woo-wee. Stubbs the Zombie does not sound all that great, but it's fun as hell. It's just a stupid game where I'm eating brains, calling over my zombie army. The latest thing I got, because I just started, was I can drive vehicles. So I'm this zombie driving vehicles. And I know from reading up, I can like take my head off and like use it like some sort of attack. I can rip my guts out and like throw the guts like grenades. It's, just a wacky, weird thing where it's like, hey, instead of you being the human trying to kill the zombie, why don't you become the zombie? And you're in some futuristic style city where there's robots everywhere and stuff, but it's in 50s style. And I think the actual time period is the 50s. And to the people, it's supposed to be like, this is an example of a city to the future. And this really big billionaire is funding the city. And he is, saying, hey, this is it's almost like a beta test. And this is what the future is going to look like for all of our cities eventually. But right now, this city, stands alone type of thing. And it's really ridiculous. The robots are dumb as hell, which is awesome. Like intentionally dumb in cutscenes. I don't mean like AI dumb. But it's so far it's pretty damn fun. So I'm definitely going to complete it if it continues this way. And but I'll tell you right now, it's old. It also runs on the Halo engine, which I thought was interesting. But anyway, other than that, I've been doing Modern Warfare 2. I bought it. It was the night it was going to come out. And I thought, you know what? Screw it. Because I played the beta and I really liked it. So I bought the Xbox version of the game. And of course, I bought the big version because it said you can play as Price and Soap and Ghost online. So I was like, oh, I want to do that. So of course, I paid for the big version of the game. But it's a ton of fun. And they did a lot, in my opinion, of improvement since the beta. I'm really impressed, actually. The beta kind of felt a little but Modern Warfare 2 the game feels really nice. Now I will say that I did play the beta on a PlayStation 5. Nothing against PlayStation 5, but I've always played COD on a Xbox. So I don't know whether the floatiness of the controls or the weirdness of the controls was just because I rarely play COD with a DualSense or a DualShock. And I almost always play with an Xbox controller. So whether it was just a little bit of that, but the game is like really nice. It runs really well. I've had a couple of crashes, a couple of bugs for sure, but nothing super bad. I really like the campaign. I think IGN only gave it a 6 if memory serves, but I really like the campaign. I haven't done a full campaign in a while and I still haven't completed this one, but this one's really fun. You go all over the world. It's an interesting enough story, which is nice. The cutscenes look really nice. And my one friend had booted it up on a Series S, but on a 4K TV, and he said it looks incredible. I do not have a 4K TV. I do have a Series X, so I wonder if I'm missing out on a lot there. But no, the online just feels like the old COD now. It's there's a lot of hot mics again, so COD is back, and everyone's yelling at each other and shit.
That is not a selling point.
That is not a selling point. Well, what was fucking hilarious was somebody, I think they actually left their mic on, and I got to hear about how this person apparently made brunch for their family. And I only got part of the story, but they made brunch for their family, but they were mad because one of the family members was like cussing them out because they made this brunch, but they didn't make enough eggs. And so like eggs were like absent from most of the courses or something. And they were like talking. I was like, man, only in Call of Duty am I hearing just like someone's like backstory in the like what's going on here. But yeah, COD's back. But in terms of the actual gameplay online, boots on the ground's great. I really like the gunsmith. You can kind of say like take any gun, so like take the M4 carbine, your standard automatic, rifle, standard issue, and you can like make it more like a sniper where it has like, bigger caliber bullets, has a big scope, shoots like has less bullets in the clip, is bulkier, but and stuff like that. You can do all kinds of stuff like that. You can really make the gun to what you want it.
You can truly play your way.
Yeah, actually. There's no jetpacks. There's no slide canceling. I know that the pros don't like the game or like they're complaining because of skill-based matchmaking and stuff. I'm not a pro, so I can't comment in that way. I know the game's having, unfortunately, some copyright problems with various maps, although some of them have been resolved and some of them are in progress. So hopefully those get resolved.
Copyright problems with maps?
Yeah, there's like a Greenberg Hotel map where there's a real hotel. There's a real hotel. I don't know if I think the map name is Greenberg and the real hotel name is named something else. And that hotel is like kind of like, like this kind of looks like our thing. There was an F1 map. Apparently there was something with that, but that's apparently back. And there's another map that I didn't even know existed because it's gone. It's actually been taken out for the time being, and has not been re-added since I've played, which is a little unfortunate. But I don't know. I really like the game. I think it's, to be honest, like lately I've been hearing a lot of these more competitive shooters have been tailoring to the pros and the streamers and those, but they're a smaller population than like, I kind of hop on for a few rounds and hop off, and I'm not that good at Call of Duty. So like it's skill basing me to people that are in my range. I'm having a good time. I'm leveling up. I'm not dying like crazy. I like the maps and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm playing a different game than what the pros play. So whether their criticisms are valid or invalid or whatever, I just like that they're, of course, I like that they're tailoring it to the everyman, because like I'm a very sort of casual COD player. But I really enjoy it. And I'm going to probably try Warzone 2.0 once it comes out as well. But yeah, if you're on the fence about Call of Duty, I really enjoy it on the console. So if you really liked the old Modern Warfare 2, or even the first Modern Warfare, or the Modern Warfare from 2019 or 2018, I think it's 2019. But any of those, like I would say, pick this up. I really like the story. I really like everything. It's a nice one. But other than that, a little bit of Fortnite, not too much. Completed Fort Nightmares pretty far in the season, so I'm well ahead. I'm trying to earn the final reward in the season, which is Spider-Gwen. And then there's bonus rewards, and I rarely go for them, but I want to get to the second page of the bonus rewards, because you get Spider-Gwen with no mask, and it's actually the Into the Spider-Verse version. So I want to sort of complete that variant, if you will, of the skin. But other than that, that's what I've been playing.
You've been playing Overwatch though, right?
Oh, right. Overwatch 2 as well. I'm also playing the PS4 version on a PS5.
Fuck yeah, you are.
because I needed it to download quick one night, and I do not give a fuck about that game's progression, so I don't think I'm going to download the PS5 version.
I'll beat that, Matt. I'm playing the PS4 version, but because it installed itself on top of my Overwatch, which required the disc, my free-to-play PS4 version of Overwatch 2 on a PS5 requires my Overwatch disc in the system to launch.
Jesus Christ.
So,
what a situation to be in. So, Adriano's got me beat there, but that's pretty good. But yeah, that's I think that's it. Unless anyone has anything else to add, that concludes this week's episode. Loaded episode this week, and hopefully we'll have a nice memorial service for Ryan. But anyway, Tim,
good Lord,
where can the fine folks find you?
I stream Mondays and Fridays at twitch.tv/the sidetrack, where I just mentioned I playing through Sleeping Dogs. I tend to play action games and RPGs, and I think I'm not 100% sure. Monday might be a bit of a different one, just because it's my birthday on Sunday, so we might do some birthday stuff. But if we don't, I've been thinking about getting into a series that I've played but never properly played, and certainly never beaten any games in it, known as BioShock. And I think I want to get into doing the BioShock, so we will see what's going on Monday.
Hell yeah.
And sometimes we also stream on Wednesday nights as well. And where is that?
Oh, geez. That is at day one or twitch.tv/Twitch. I don't even know where it is. Ryan usually does this. Twitch.tv/day one patch media. That's where you can catch us on the Wednesdays. You can catch Tim on the weekdays. You can catch us on the Wednesday night, playing the State of Decay 2. Although I'm about to test, just installed it. I'm about to test Two Worlds.
Hell yeah.
And we all bought a big old thing of Two Worlds. Tim bought the biggest version, even with the tower defense game, which I'm super proud of you, Tim. Really enjoyed that.
I didn't mean to. I could have saved $2.
So I'm glad you invested in the Two Worlds. So hopefully we'll be playing that, because I'm gonna be laughing my ass off the whole entire time.
I've been a number of people who have told me that they're looking forward to that, so we will see how that goes.
I sincerely hope they do enjoy it.
Thanks for enjoying this episode of the Day One Patch podcast.
Thank you, Tim. I don't really know how to end. I don't normally do this. So anyway,
play the outro music. Just play it. Play it.
There's no outro music.
Just hum it, man, hum it.
Can I do a humming piece? That's not hum. That concludes this episode.